Hello, welcome back, Star Beings. Welcome to Spiritual Ascension, where we honor the soul, serve our life's purpose, and as always, raise our vibration. Today, I want to talk about a lot of different topics, but on this specific video, I want to discuss something that's near and dear to my heart. I want to talk about alien abductions, and more specifically, for those of you out there that are curious if you've been abducted before. You may have not. I really don't know. Personally, I have. I've been going through this my whole life. So I just want to give you some signs, at least, and I can only give you my own personal experiences, the things that I have experienced before and after an abduction, to see if any of these things resonate with you. And if they resonate with you, doesn't mean necessarily that you've been abducted, but all that I ask of you is just look into it, right? Always do your own research, because my experiences might not be the same as yours, and they might be exactly like yours. It really, everyone's different. So the main thing that I always want you to understand through spirituality, through all of these processes, is if you use my channel as a source of information, just do your own research too. Okay, whichever sources you use, whoever you communicate with, whoever you talk with, make sure that if you're using a source like a book that somebody wrote, or a video that somebody made, or a speech that somebody's giving, whatever sources you want to use, you're more than welcome to use all of them, but also do your own research, because at the end of the day, it's about you and your experiences. So for me, when it comes to UFO contact, this is something I've dealt with my whole life. And so when I was young, and when I say young, I'm talking 2 years old, 3 years old, I was having a reoccurring dream of aliens outside of my house, my parents' house growing up, right? And this same dream I would have over and over again, not every day, but it was happening, I'd have the same dream at least, maybe once a month, maybe even sometimes twice a month, but it was the same exact dream. So much so that I started to understand that through that process, that it actually wasn't a dream. And at some point in that quote-unquote dream, I was able to realize, wait a minute, I've done this before. If I go over here, this is where I get abducted, so I'm gonna hide under the car. So I would hide under my dad's car, and guess what? I still got abducted. So then I would wake up, and then when I dreamt the same thing again, I was like, wait a minute, I used to hide behind this tree. The last time I hid under his car, this time I'm gonna hide in the garage. I still got abducted. And so I had the same reoccurring dream over and over again, so much so that I remembered exactly what was going to happen, because it had happened so many times. Later on in life, I found out that it wasn't actually a dream. It was just their way of masking the abductions, right? And so when I thought I was dreaming, I really wasn't. But if you have a reoccurring dream of something, especially in my case, like I'm telling you, ET abductions, it's a possibility. I'm not saying it is. You have to do your own research, look into it yourself. But in my case, that was one big sign that something was strange was happening, right? Was that I was being taken. Same reoccurring dream over and over again. It was screen memories. Now that I know, as I'm older, I knew this years and years ago, but they'll put screen memories in front of you. In other words, if they don't want to show their true self to you in the abduction, they'll come across and they could look like your mom, they could look like your aunt, they could look like your uncle, they could look like your brother, they could look like anybody. And they do this because they want you to feel comfortable and safe. And one other thing I want to mention is that if you have been abducted, and you have been abducted your whole life, the chances of you having a soul contract with those aliens saying that you agreed to be abducted is probably 99.9% accurate. This is something you agreed to before coming to this planet. But this is something that you have agreed to. More than likely, I would say 99.9% of all abductions have occurred through soul contracts, for whatever purpose, and every abduction has a different purpose. This video is not about the purpose, this video is just about the symptoms. So, first and foremost, do you have a reoccurring dream? I did, okay? That was something that first made me aware. Number two is, do you find yourself constantly wanting to be outside at night? Do you look at the stars all the time? And when you look at the stars, do you feel like that's home? Part of the reason why I would always look up at night, and I still do to this day, was, I'm looking, almost waiting for a craft to come down. You know what I mean? It's almost like I'm waiting and anticipating for the ship to come down that's going to take me. So it's a little bit of me missing home, because that was a large part of it, but it's also a part of me. And while this is happening, you're not realizing this is why it's happening. You can't explain why you keep getting pulled to go outside and look up, but something keeps telling you, hey, go outside and look up, go outside and look up. If that's happening, there's obviously a reason why that's happening. But why that's happening for you might not be the same reason it's happening for me. So again, do the research, do your own research, and figure out what draws you to go outside and look up every night. If you just happen to love being outside and you love looking at the stars, then that's probably because you miss home and you miss where you're from, and your soul's remembering where you're from, right? Your soul never forgets. It's our human brain that kind of blocks that part of our consciousness to expand, to become more aware of things. But again, if you have something that's drawing you to go outside, something that you really can't explain, why do I keep having this feeling like I need to go outside and look up in the sky? That could be, again, in my case it is, doesn't mean it's in your case, it could be a sign that you have been abducted, or you are part of an abduction program. Another thing, usually most abductions, not all, but most abductions do take place when you're asleep. And there's a reason for that, because they don't want you to be scared, right? So they're gonna take you when you're the most calmest, you're already asleep. Matter of fact, they will help put you to sleep if you're not asleep when they're ready to take you. For example, in my case, many times when craft was above my house, I couldn't necessarily hear the craft, but I could hear the change in vibration in my room. So for me, a couple things would occur. One is that I hear this humming sound. It's like your ears are ringing, almost like you just got out of a very loud concert and you were very close to the stage. The speakers were like very close to you, and then you get out of you get out of the concert to go to your house, and your ears are ringing really loud. So your ears ring really loud when craft is near you. And the reason why is because they're changing the vibration. They're changing the vibration, right? Because we're on a 3D planet. You're a third, just like we all are. We're third dimensional. We're multi-dimensional, but we live in a 3D planet. The planet's shifting over to fourth, fifth density, but we are 3D humans, right? We're 3D multi-dimensional beings right now on this planet. And they are at a higher vibration. They are fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth dimensional beings coming down to take us. So when they come down to take us, they have to raise the vibration of the area they're in to be able to pull us into their dimension, into their vibration. That itself causes ringing in the ears. So out of nowhere, if you're laying in bed and you're about to fall asleep and you notice your ears are starting to ring very loud, doesn't mean that it's a alien abduction. It just means that it could be an alien abduction about to happen, right? It could be. Doesn't mean it is, but it could be. Another thing I hear is this sound, and it's also done through the changing of vibrations that says woo, 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 woo. It's like this humming sound. Comes with, at least in my case, comes with a lot of the abductions. If I happen to be awake, falling asleep, and it's almost like, okay, they've already arrived. They're either going to put you to sleep, or they're just waiting for you to drift off so they can do what they need to do, right? So there's this humming sound, but it's like that sound I was creating earlier. That's, at least for me, that's what it sounds like to me. It's like a humming, it's the vibration that's changing. That's all that is. And sometimes it'll be accompanied by that sound you can hear. The ship is not making a sound, right? These UFOs are absolutely silent. They are making no noise whatsoever. But the vibration, that's involved of raising your vibration to match their vibration, to pull you onto craft, it's manipulation of the energy around us. And that energy, when it's around us, because we're surrounded by energy right now, that energy vibrates. And you can actually hear it vibrate, and it makes a certain sound. And by the way, there are different sounds from different ships. But again, always remember that if you are being abducted, if you have been abducted, it's probably not the first time, and it probably won't be the last time, because this is something you agreed to as a spiritual contract before you came to this planet. So for me, reoccurring dreams happened. For me, this voice almost in my head, like, go outside and look up, throughout my whole life has been there. And then the ringing in my ears, the vibration right before I go up into craft. These are all things that I experience. And if you experience any of these symptoms, you could be an abductee. Do the research, go find out, and definitely, get your own answers, because I'm just giving you my examples of what has happened in my life. And I'm trying to get the information out there, because a lot of us overlook these things and we really don't pay attention to what's happening. And this thing could be happening for your entire life and you still haven't realized it, and you're in your 20s and you're like, what? You mean this has happened to me my whole life? How come I didn't remember anything? They're very good at screen memories, and they're very good at making it feel like it's a dream when it's not. A lot of the times we are taken out of, like, our physical bodies are taken out. It's like a physical body abduction. A lot of times our soul is removed from our body. And no, you do not die when your soul is removed. Astral projection is a real thing. Your soul is removed from your body. It can be an astral abduction, right? Where your soul is removed, but your body still stays in the bed. So it can be your full body gone from the room. It could be an astral abduction, and you can be abducted either way. And why you're abducted could be completely the same reason why I am, or could be completely different. So again, I don't want to get into why. I just want to get into some of the symptoms that could mean that you are being abducted, just to pay attention to them. One thing that helped me, and this is just giving you some things that have helped me, is number one, just looking inward and asking myself for the answers and trusting my intuition. But trust your intuition and look inward, and you will find the answers. Number two, I went upon myself and said, you know what? I need to go. It's for me, it was already validated. I had real memories of certain abductions. Of course, not all of them, but I have memories of certain ones. And I said, I want to go get hypnotized. I want to go under hypnosis regression for UFO contact when it was happening in my life, and if it was happening to me at the times I thought it was. Because I had weird experiences. Like, for example, one abduction was validated through hypnosis. Several were, but one in particular that always stands out to me from my own experience was, I remember when I was a teenager, I was in high school, I snuck out of my parents' home to go visit this girl that I was in love with. It was my first true love. And she was everything to me. And we felt very similar about each other, but we weren't officially boyfriend and girlfriend, nothing like that. But I remember I went to go sneak to her house at night, and this is back in, if I had to put a year on it, 1989, 1990, roughly. Somewhere in that period. It's been a long time. So I would sneak out of my parents' house, and I rode my bike over to her house. And of course, back then there were no cell phones. So I had to let her know, hey, I'm going to be coming to your house at this time at night. Right? Tonight I'll be knocking on your window at night. I rode my bike over to her house, and as I'm going over there, I look in the sky and I notice this big bright ball of light that is following me. It's very, very high up. When I say high up, I mean it's low enough to be noticeable, but it's high enough to not be recognizable. If that makes sense. It makes sense to me. And it almost looked like a spotlight from a helicopter, although there was no physical light on the ground. But if you looked up and you saw like a helicopter with a big spotlight that was trying to shine it on you, and you just looked up at that, that's what it looked like, a big ball of bright light, like very bright light, very rounded circle. That's what it looked like, but it wasn't a helicopter. There was no sounds of a helicopter. It was just this ball of light that was following me. And I noticed that every time, I would go down this way, it would turn with me, and it was following me the entire time. And even to the point where I said, okay, it's going to take me like an extra 5 minutes to get to her house, but I'm going to actually go around. I'm not going to go the way I'm supposed to go to her house. I'm like halfway there. I'm going to make another turn just to see if it is indeed following me. And so when I made a wrong turn and I was going like the opposite way of her house just to make sure that this thing was for sure following me. Indeed, it did follow me. So I panicked. I didn't know what it was. I thought 100% it probably is a UFO, but I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't hear anything. It was just a big ball of light in the sky, but it was for sure following me. So as soon as I turned around, I rode all the way home. I went all the way home, parked my bike, went inside the house and went to bed. Okay, and I woke up the next morning and went to school. I knew in my soul, my gut feeling, my intuition told me that that was an alien ship, that that was a UFO, okay? My intuition. My human brain was saying like, it was probably just something, you were just imagining it, it never happened. That happens quite often, where your intuition tells you what's the truth and your human brain is like, probably not, right? And so this is a lifelong battle we have with our intuition and our human brain battling against one another. It seems like that, at least for me. So under hypnosis regression, as soon as I turned around to go back home, that's when I was abducted. And to be honest with you, when I think back to riding the bike home, I don't remember getting home. I know I turned around, I knew the destination was my house, but I don't remember actually riding there. I couldn't even tell you about what road I took or how I got home. All I knew was I was home. So under hypnosis regression, I found out that yes, that ball of light, what my intuition was correct, that ball of light indeed was a UFO, and yes, indeed, I was abducted. And they actually abducted me as I turned around and was heading home. That's when they were like, okay, he already figured us out, let's grab him. You know what I mean? Like, let's get him. So they abducted me, and then as I went home, they just placed me back at my house and erased all the memory from what happened from the moment I turned around, and they imprinted into me a memory of me riding my bike home. But if you really try to recreate, for me, that ride home, there is no ride home. Like, I can't recreate it because in my brain says, no, you rode all the way home. But then I said, okay, well, how did I get there? And I couldn't tell you. I can tell you what streets I took to get to the point where they abducted me. I can remember that. That's not a screen memory. That's real memory. That really happened. But they put into a memory of me that I rode my bike home. And my whole life, I thought I rode my bike home until I was hypnotized. And under hypnosis regression, visiting several ET abductions throughout my life, that happened to be one of them that I was brought to. And sure enough, I was taken. And they did imprint a memory of me going home. But again, when I'm fully awake, like right now, I can't remember going home. I sure can remember, to this day, I can remember how I got there, but I can't remember how I got back home. And if that happens to you, that means most likely that you probably have been abducted. If there's missing time there that you can't explain. And there was missing time, or at least a missing memory that you can't explain. Like a memory of, okay, I went home, but do I actually remember getting there? No. That could be a sign that you have been abducted. And so I'm just using that life experience as an example. And there's so many different reasons for different abductions. For me, it's hybridization. For you, it could be the same. For you, it could be something different. Again, there's so many different types of abductions. So many different entities are abducting us. We just never know, unless you look inward and you find out and you get your own answers. You really never know why it's happening unless, again, you look inward and you find the answers. And it took me years to find the answers. It wasn't something that I just woke up with and had an epiphany and all of a sudden I remembered everything. No, you have to put in the work and you have to find out the truth. And it's my truth, just like you have to find out what is your truth. So that is my challenge to you guys. Find your own truth. These are some examples of what has occurred to me. If any of these resonate with you and you are an abductee, definitely let me know. Definitely let me know in the comments below. If these resonate with you, some of these resonate with you, and you're not sure if you've been an abductee, my challenge to you is go find out if you are. Doesn't mean that you are. If anything I say connects with you, it doesn't mean that you have been abducted, but it does mean that you could have been abducted, and you definitely want to do the research and find out. Thanks for watching. Please have an energetic day, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.